let's start here, Ty. Gary wants to know, if there was an election for college football emperor, a position where you get to make the rules for everything college football without having to worry about politicking for support of school presidents or conferences, what platform are you running on? Which I suppose requires some politicking. But is there a universal stance that could be taken that, like, for instance, I know a lot of people say pay the friggin' players, including myself. But for whatever reason, that's still a bit divisive as a college football opinion. There are people who are very enthusiastic and worked up about, hey, this is the FBS level. Why are we playing FCS teams? Right? That we should be keeping the money in this grouping. I understand both sides. I happen to think that what's good for the sport is now FBS teams playing FCS teams. I know you've gone back and forth a little bit, but is there a stance that you have that you feel like would garner Ty Hildenbrandt, candidate, the most support?
I find that, at least in my own political forays, of which there have been many, I ran for student body president in high school, lost by 3 votes my senior year because I had a few friends that I had pissed off earlier in the day. You're looking at I guess, 4-time student council elector.
Sure. Were you a centrist? And this, I'm asking you a question right now, is like, if you were a centrist, how would you run? Or are you running with a very specific point of view?
What I'm getting at here is it needs to be simple.
I agree.
All politics is emotional, but at its core, it's very simple. It's how does it make you feel? I am running solely on the idea of flex scheduling. Flex scheduling.
Okay.
It's something that everybody can understand. We saw it once. It was to, I think, great effect in 2020 when BYU and Coastal Carolina, they were each looking for a game, and they said, hey, man, let's figure it out. They got together. They made the thing happen. It might have been the game of the year. I am sure there are logistical challenges here. I am sure this is not going to be the point of view from many of the athletic directors around our fine sport of college football. I get it. But, dog, if there were logistical challenges for 35 years until suddenly there weren't and they figured out a playoff in 6 weeks, then we can figure this out too. Here's what I want.
Do you think that is the stance of, like, the one thing that's missing that college football fans as a whole feel like is missing from the sport is the lack of flex scheduling? Like, do you think that riles people up?
I think I can make it rile people up.
Okay.
Here's what I want. I want a slot in early October where every Power 5 team has to play another Power 5 team from a different conference. The catch is that you can't schedule 5 years in advance or 5 weeks in advance. Right. Maybe get 2 weeks notice. And maybe it's based solely on being in the Power 5. Maybe it's not just solely being on the Power 5. Maybe there's a metric that determines who is in this available pool of teams, who's eligible, who isn't. But I want flexible, very dynamic scheduling that gives you some flavor of variety in the middle of the season. Because you know as well as I, once you get into October, there are a great number of teams and fan bases that start to, like, diminish their interest in the sport. Right. So I think at a bare minimum, this juices that fan base a little bit. It gives folks, everybody, frankly, a little something to be more excited about during the season. It doesn't solve the issue of teams scheduling cream puffs, at least not fully. Right. But at least it gives us some baseline throughout the course of the year. Like, if college football were truly evolved, and I could talk about this maybe shortly, this could perhaps be part of a grander playoff system. You've got everybody competing during the season as part of something that will carry on into the postseason, some sort of formula, some sort of system. We're never going to get there. But I like the fact that this adds some variety. I like the fact that this isn't the kind of thing where you're scheduling a team 10 years out on the premise that they might be good when the game eventually rolls around. I like the fact that it makes the season something that you need to pay attention to beyond the first 4 weeks of the year. And so my one issue here that I'm running on is flex scheduling. I loved it so much 2 years ago, year and a half ago, that I'm sticking with it now as the primary pillar of my candidacy for, what did he say, emperor?
Yeah.
Ooh. That's kind of charged if you've watched Star Wars, right?
I would,
college football
I understand.
leader. That's my pillar.
I would destroy you in an election. I
No, you
absolutely
wouldn't. No, you
would
wouldn't.
demolish you. You're running on like a Green Party platform. You're running
Green
on like
Party
the
platform.
margins of the sport.
Well, what are you?
Absolutely are.
What's yours?
Oh, I'm running total populist. Every single conference champion starts games the following year down 7-0 or 10-0. I'm going.
Okay.
If everybody demands.
See, those are your
That-
biggest teams, though. Those are your biggest fan bases.
I don't care.
So you're
what-
going to tell
so what
Ohio
happens?
State. You're going to tell
Yeah.
Ohio State fans, hey, man, you got to start every game or the first game of next year down 7 points.
I'm
You think
selling
that's
hope,
going to go over
baby.
well, Mr.
Yes.
Populist?
Yeah.
Really?
First of all, Ohio State fans will say, Psh, who cares, right? They're
Not if
beating
they play
everybody
Notre
by 35.
Dame week 1.
Yeah, Notre Dame in big games, man, they really come to play. That's the team you got to worry about in those huge spots.
Okay.
Worry about the top of the American before you worry about Ohio State. How about that, Notre Dame fans? I'm populist. If you are Purdue, if you're Indiana, if you are any of these teams, knowing you're going into the Ohio State game up, there's a little bit extra juice every week for everybody who's playing. By the way, Ohio State, not a defending conference champion, to be clear right now. But you're playing Utah, you're playing Michigan, you're playing Pitt. Usually it's not going to be Pitt. I get that. But Alabama or Georgia or any of the LSU, you're up. And so there's added juice. And there is I don't want to take away scholarships for playoff teams. I don't think that's fun. That's punishing player opportunities. I'm not with that. I just want a degree of difficulty that gives everybody just a little bit of hope. I'm selling hope, which is the central sales point of college football already. I'm just adding a cherry. I'm just sweetening the pot a little bit.
Dude, they have a different name for taking away from the rich and giving to the poor, which we're not going to further explore here
I'm
on
a
the
college
podcast,
football
but it ain't
socialist.
populist. It is not populist.
Oh, socialism is populism, Ty.
Okay.
Get with it.
Fair enough.
No, I'm saying every conference game. Jen in the comments, obviously Jen, Alpha. She's saying every game or just the first game of the year. I'm saying every single conference game of 2022, Alabama is down 7-0 in all of their SEC contests. You're laughing. This is making you happy. This is seducing you a little bit, Ty.
Sure.
Okay. That's what I'm running on. I'm running on hope. I'm running on evening the playing field. How about that?
That
Taxing
works great.
The rich.
That
Make
works-
them pay their fair share.
That works great on Twitter. But if you really want to take that theory to the 65-year-old dyed-in-the-wool Georgia fan base, they ain't voting for that. They're voting for flex scheduling. They're voting for let's
Georgia
play
cares
anybody,
about
anytime, anywhere. They're not voting for, hey, we'll start down 7 points. Come on.
If you're
Come
a
on, who are
Georgia
we
fan,
kidding here?
if you're a Georgia fan, then you get to say, look, we were down 7 and still beat you 35-13. Look at you. You got some work to do before
It's not
catching up
about
to
bumper
us.
stickers. It's about winning titles. And being down 7 against some of your primary competition is not.
You went on the margins. You're running for director of the Secretary of the Interior, Ty, with your post. Come on.